Hey, so this is a remake of a video, and I say that because I was just in my car trying to make this video, but I looked at the clock while I was like halfway making through the video that I was working really hard on, and it was like 6:54 on the clock, and it wasn't even on like the regular clock, it was on my Bluetooth, which just like randomly displays numbers. And it was displaying a random number because I was recording, and it was 6:54, and then eventually it turned to 6:55. But I was like, I put that in the video. I'm like, hey, look, we gotta like pause and wait a second, because like pause, look around, you know what I mean, for 6:54, because it's a descending number, and I didn't realize that it was trying to tell me that my phone wasn't recording. So there you go, universe was trying to talk to me. Anywho, I'm making this video because I want to talk about Kubrick. He's my favorite director. And I'm bringing this up because Kubrick is my favorite director for many reasons. He's an extremely talented person. He's got just one of the most brilliant eyes for composition I've ever seen in a film and production. And Kubrick liked to encode things into his movies to help tell the story. He would use every aspect at his disposal in order to tell the story. Now, an example of this would be not only using all of the camera to his use with the way he would use dollies and stuff like that to accentuate the scene and the mood of the character, but he would also do it in set design and in the composition and the arrangement, the cutting and the editing of the whole, footage taken, with the way he would produce things on set using fake things to make something hyper real, so it's so believable that it's better than having done it in reality the way you might have done it on location. For snow, for example, he would add smoke to a room with snow to really achieve the effect, and it's honestly almost impossible to get that effect with actual snowfall. But when your eyes perceive snow in a distance, that smoke, with the way that a camera can pierce things, has the desired effect. Just double checking I'm recording. So, Kubrick would, for example, in The Shining, one of my favorite films of all time, a masterpiece, to say the least, in the very beginning scene with Jack, he's entering the hotel, the Overlook Hotel, and there's these beautiful red pillars, and it's like an all one dolly shot, and he goes in, and it's kind of like the entrance, and then it goes into this very long hallway, and then there's kind of an offshoot office, and then it goes into another room where the main office is that Jack goes into to talk to the owner of the hotel, and then behind them is a hallway that goes down and behind where those two offices are. Well, in the second office where Jack goes into, there's a window with bushes and extremely bright sunlight right behind them to light the whole scene. Well, that's impossible with that hallway behind it, and there's people that go behind the hallway and everything to like further solidify in your brain that it's there. And that kind of subconscious uneasiness, because your subconscious picks up on it most of the time. That has an uneasiness that just captures me every time I watch the film. And it happens with Danny's path along his whole tricycle route, and a couple other ways that the director tricks our perceptions and adds to the maze-like feeling of the film. And, in every way that film addresses the dark aspects of our reality, and it also addresses our reality too. And in Eyes Wide Shut, his last film, the film he probably got killed for, he addresses everything from the sex cults that the music industry is in, the satanic sex rituals that would go on to implement and bind people to them, and it's used for blackmail, it's used to, it's also an addiction thing too, because when you subject yourself to that kind of stuff over and over again, you get not only desensitized to it, but other things, like things that are of a lesser nature, I guess, after that point, in your mind. A lot of people have a very absolute sense with, things being above and below, so, with compartmentalization and everything, and the way that people usually think about things without nuance is what I mean by that. People usually think without a lot of nuance. Not everyone, but I think we all know what I'm talking about. So, what was I talking about? With Eyes Wide Shut, he encoded the whole pyramid structure and how the elites rule our society, and how there is a very select few of people that all are into very dastardly, nasty, amoral, terrible things that are obviously definable as evil, and they aid very evil entities through these actions, not only through feeding them, but also through the obvious act that they are minions to them and subservient to them. And by them, I mean, by them, Archons. The ones who have all the cheat codes right now. But, that's why I put my blood over my tent to bring forth heaven on earth for the benefit of all, so we can bring forth heaven on earth for the benefit of all and change this. And those parasitic entities, well, we can figure out something to do with them. I don't hate them, they exist. I'm not gonna try to... I'm gonna try to understand them, at least at the very... I guess that's the best way I can put it. And I don't right now, so I can't really totally condemn, or I can't make an acceptance or a deniance yet, because I don't totally understand it. I don't totally have a grip on it from all the perspectives that I can get before I'm comfortable making an acceptance or deniance on that, but whatever, I'm just trying to say that the way that I think is... I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. What I want to get back to is the whole thing with Kubrick encoding stuff, because the way Kubrick would encode stuff, it helped the story not only tell the story with Eyes Wide Shut, which is, brilliant that it intertwined with that, but also had the effect of giving me an ability to decode and to see these encodings. And that's what really got me started on this path too. That was a really big puzzle piece, with realizing that the earth is flat. And I'm going to probably do an experiment pretty soon where I try to show and experiment whether or not the sun shrinks over the course of like 4 hours over the, a sunset and a sunrise. We'll see what happens with that. I've seen it shrink, but I'll just get photographic proof. Tripod in one place, 4 hours before sunset, right before sunset. I'm gonna use a I can't remember what they're called right at this second. It's basically just a filter over the lens, and this filter will block out the majority of the sunlight and allow me to get a really crisp view of the sun. And I have a Canon 700D with a 135mm zoom lens and a 10x zoom on top of that. I'll be able to get a pretty good, couple pictures, and then I'm gonna just put the opacity over both of them and see what happens. So that'll be my next step, trying to prove the flat earth for everyone. But love and wholeness. I dropped the phone. I did that earlier too.